Building a business isn't just about having the right tools. It's about building the right foundation. Whether it's creating authentic connections or aligning your mindset for success, the way you show up can make all the difference. In this final episode of the Business Breakout, we're closing out the season by exploring what it takes to show up intentionally, online and in life. And with two incredible guests who are here to share their expertise. All this and more is coming up next on the Business Breakout.
Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown. Order up that beat just like it's takeout. Show me you got soul inside those new shoes. And
You can rock and roll with an attitude. So good, so fresh, just the way you like it. Aww. Here's the thing. Showing up in the right way for your business doesn't just happen. It takes clarity, strategy, and a little bit of courage. Whether it's creating meaningful connections on LinkedIn or making sure that your mindset supports your goals, every step matters. And today we are getting into how to make those steps more intentional and impactful. And we'll be talking about building authentic relationships, rethinking the way you approach success, and making sure every move that you make aligns with what you want to create. But before we get into all of that, if this is your first time here, hello there. I am Ella Glasgow, your host and the Director of Funability at Beyond Virtual Events, where I help companies and established small businesses create impactful virtual experiences. And this here happens to be the unconventional experience and virtual event that I have been producing live inside of Zoom for the last 3 years. And this is your invite to join us right inside of Zoom for this very last special episode. You'll find the link right here, and you'll find the direct link right there in the chat, Oh, it's been such a wonderful time for this particular show and all of the great guests that I have had on. And this first guest that we have is a special one. And she's about keeping it real in the digital space. She's the founder of Leverage Up. Some of you may remember her because this is not her first time here on the show. And she's on a mission to help people show up more human on LinkedIn. In a world full of bots and automation, she is simplifying the platform and teaching strategies that build real connections and trust without spending all day online. Can I get an amen, everybody? Please welcome friend of the show, Deanna Russo. Deanna!
Hello. Nice to see you.
It's so
Thank you
good
so
to
much.
see you. I'm so happy to have you here today. And we were just talking about the fact that this is not your first time here on the show because I think you've been back to the show like 2 or 3 times.
This might be my second. It might have been third. I still was arguing with you about whether this has been 3 years because it really has not seemed like you've been on the air for 3 years. But
I know.
it is a fantastic show.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful time. And the cool thing about this is, for those of you that don't remember, hey, Lion, it's so good. So good to see you, Lion. Always smooth as butter, he says. So the great thing and the neat thing about this and having Deanna on the show, you were the very first guest of the Business Breakout, the very first person to say yes and come and talk with us about your expertise when it comes to LinkedIn. And you were really my first LinkedIn coach as well to really help me to understand how to utilize that platform. So the thing is that LinkedIn can be really overwhelming with all of the tools and all of the advice out there. There's so many coaches. So what is that first step that you would recommend to someone who wants to simplify LinkedIn and their strategy and make it more effective?
Think about LinkedIn like a big networking event. And you are walking in, and you're not going to walk into that networking event with a bag over your head. Nope. You're going to make sure that you look good. And so your profile is you walking into that event. Your profile is essentially your billboard, and you want to bring the best, but you also want to differentiate yourself from everybody else who is there, because there is 1 billion people on LinkedIn. Now let's go back to that networking event. No one walks into a networking event and gives a no, they're talking. They are having conversations. And so when your profile looks really good, the next thing is to become more visible, is to get more people looking at you. And that's where the conversations come in. So in order to grow the like part of the know, like, and trust, I recommend commenting before you react, before you just give a thumbs up or a clap. Have a conversation with us, because people will get to like you when you come out and you talk to us exactly the way you would in person. And then that third piece of the triangle strategy is trust. And we cannot trust you if we do not hear from you. And so come out of your shell and post content on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn really gives you a platform with 1 billion people on it to use your megaphone and to grow your trust. And so we get to know you through the profile, we get to like you through the conversations you're having, and we get to trust you through your content. And then the networking event becomes LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine walking into, because it's like walking up to a circle of people and wanting to be a part of the conversation, but instead going, good job, guys.
Yeah. And you look away.
I mean, are you
and then
love what you're talking about?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but the neat thing about this is that while you're saying you're likening it to a networking event, the advantage that you have at a networking event that's on LinkedIn is that you can stand outside of the circle and just listen to the conversation and not look awkward before you decide to jump in and say something,
Right.
And decide whether or not the circle that's talking is the circle that you actually want to have a conversation with. You can just move on to the next circle.
Yes. It's all about finding the circle that you want to be more visible in.
Exactly.
And so that's where the strategic engagement that I teach comes in, because we can comment on what's in the feed until the cows come home, or we can go to that circle and say, these are the people I want to be seen by, and go in and shake hands.
Yes,
and talk.
exactly. So from that, one of the things that I learned from you, I knew how to do it, but I didn't understand that it was okay to do it on LinkedIn, and that was to just be a human.
Yes.
So can you share a practical tip for how we can build those authentic relationships on a platform without sounding like we are trying to give a sales pitch? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in order to be human, you have to show up as you. And so that's why I recommend when someone is putting in a profile picture that they show up as themselves, because AI could probably create a really fantastic version of Deanna, but I want to show up as Deanna, because that version may not be the one that is showing up in the Zoom call when you book it, or you may not be seeing in person. So show up as yourself in every single piece of your profile. And then when you're talking to us in the comments, do not use AI generated comments. Really talk to us the way that you would if we were standing right in front of you. And then when it comes to content, ChatGPT can be a fantastic vehicle for a first draft of something that you want to put out to the hemisphere or the world. But I say, take what they give you and then make it your own, customize it to really put it in your language, because otherwise, you're right, you're going to sound like a robot. And who wants to do business with a robot?
Exactly. I think that's where all of us are leaning toward in this. It's a wonderful age that we're in, you know, with technology and being able to do things in more efficient ways, but it definitely can feel a little bit disengaging. And Lion is saying so true. I think many people are relying on AI too much. They really are. So with that being said, there was another question I wanted to ask you, but you've brought up a good point. And AI on LinkedIn, can you please address this? Because I know I'm seeing a lot of tools that can automate things onto LinkedIn, but I know that there are some rules that LinkedIn has in place that it seems that many people are violating when it comes to how they're engaging on LinkedIn. So can you address that and what the parameters are?
One of the biggest rules that LinkedIn has is the browser. If your browser has an extension that scrapes LinkedIn for content, then I seriously recommend that you get rid of it, because that is one of the rules that LinkedIn has. It does not want anything that is scraping LinkedIn. So in order to not get suspended or kicked off the platform, I recommend do not put any extensions into your browser that scrapes LinkedIn.
That is a big one, because I'm sure you have, I'm sure many of you watching have been getting emails from people that you've never talked to, and they're telling you that they saw your profile on LinkedIn because they're scraping our emails off of LinkedIn and still not coming correct, as some would say. So, oh my gosh, there's so much that we could get into about this topic, but I want to make sure that we have time for our next guest. Deanna, don't go anywhere. This is not the last time we're going to see you. There's so much to get to today, and make sure that you are paying attention to these things that Deanna is saying. If you have been wanting to use LinkedIn, or you're on LinkedIn right now and you've maybe been, not following the rules, then I would encourage you to follow the rules. So our next guest is really going to help us with some other type of strategy, and it's all about finances and mindset for her. And she is about turning financial stress into stability and opportunity. She helps professionals and entrepreneurs find clarity and growth without debt, and is the founder of the Caregiver Conference, which has been inspired by her personal journey to support others. So please welcome to the Business Breakout, Jeannie Dougherty. Hey, Jeannie.
Hi.
Hi.
So good to see you, Ella and Deanna. Wow, what a inspiration there when she was talking about stop scraping.
Right?
And I was like, I didn't know that was the word for it, but okay.
Yes.
Now I know, and I've got the word.
Yeah, I know, right? That's exactly what it is. They're scraping that information off of LinkedIn and other platforms, but it's definitely a violation of LinkedIn's policy. But Jeannie, oh my gosh. Okay, we've been talking for has it been 2 years or something that we've been knowing each other? And we've been talking about having you on the show for the last few months. And I've learned a lot of things about you and what it is you're doing, but I'm excited for our guests to understand, for our watchers today to understand what it is that you do and how you're helping people out in the world. So I know that rewiring our financial mindset can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a mouthful, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. So what does that mean exactly, and how are you helping people to really do that?
So the loss of my parents, they both passed away from Alzheimer's. And so what I really kind of dove into was a lot about neuroscience. So after my mother had passed, I realized at this point in my life, I really wanted to focus on more brain science, things that were real, things that could be measured, because mindset can be great for some people and not great for other people. And it can be a variety of reasons, like what's going on with your brain. And so I kind of had a little bit of a love affair with money. And so what I do when I work with my clients is I show them really simple, easy steps that they can do multiple times throughout the day, like literally taking some money breaks so they can start to rewire the stuff that's actually in the way, because we have what, over 86,000 thoughts, in a day, and most of them are not positive. Most of them stop you from making more money. Most of them make you feel alone. Most of them make you feel angry and sad. And when you hop on a platform like LinkedIn and you've got somebody as amazing like Deanna encouraging you to what? Be a human being, express yourself and share yourself, you might run into some friction, or worse, you might not get a lot of engagement at all. So, I find that people are always striving, and that's not a bad thing, but that isn't really money making. Money making is actually feeling confident, and it's actually showing execution through your strategy, and then paying attention to the data when you go, oh, it looks like nobody really paid attention to this post or these last 3 posts. Is this actually what I'm really here for? Is this what I'm really doing? Because I loved how Deanna said it's a circle. Like, where do you want to live? Where do you want to play? And where do you want to make money? And it's those places that you need to value and take great care. So having a network on LinkedIn is a golden network. I just did a training on that earlier this week about how you can value it and how to ask the 5 best questions so that you can actually have a money changing conversation instead of like just running around in a circle going, hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Hi.
Wait a minute.
I was just wondering.
Girl, you dropping so. Look, I hope y'all are writing stuff down, because in 2.7 seconds, she's talked about steps that you can take to be able to change your money mindset that you can do every day with your little money breaks. And then she's talking about 5 questions. Okay, look, Jeannie. Okay, I'm going to go back and rewind to what you said first, because I found it intriguing. You were saying that you give the clients that you work with some steps that they can take on the daily that help them to improve their money mindset. So what's one of those steps that our viewers can take to see an impact today? Because I know there's multiple and we don't have time for all of them, but I know we can at least get one.
So one of the ones I love to do is, if you get an angry email or an email that upsets you or frustrates you or annoys you in some way, that what you can do is take a moment and maybe step away from the computer, like literally get up and like get a glass of water, or, go walk around the block or something before you respond. And as you are away from the computer, I want you to focus on your feelings and your thoughts, not about this person's a jerk, this person's this person's that. And when you focus on yourself, and we do certain mindful exercises, so like you might be just putting your hands on the cup, and you take a deep breath before you take a sip of water or before you drink some tea, and you focus on what's going on inside of you, and then you focus on some of the thoughts, and then you come back to, again, what is it that you're really here for? What circle? What are you creating? And then when you're ready, you can go back to that email. And then it's amazing, because if you spend a couple minutes a day, not just when you're angry, not just when you're upset, not just when you're happy, but when something doesn't feel right or it feels off, it's amazing how you can power through. It's so good that you can master this, what I call like your money, your winning money power, so that you can actually go do what you need to do instead of getting stuck in the drama. Because I do feel like one of the negatives of our social circles is that we spend a lot of time judging, we spend a lot of time complaining, and we don't really come up with solutions. And moneymakers are solution folks. They're not here to just, be in the crowd and go, woe is me. They're here to make some changes.
Look, money makers are solution folks. Y'all write that down, okay? And Lion said, I've got my notepad in hand. So
there you go.
Yeah. So something interesting that you said, because I have heard people say, get up and walk away from the situation. I think that's what we've all heard before. But there's something that you've added to that I've never heard before. Put your hand around that cup and feel it. Really feel it. So what I'm hearing is that you're changing the neurology, not just walking away, but also putting yourself in a completely different space, which is a completely different headspace, which is awesome. And it's so simple. And I think that's where we get caught up when the things that we need to do and can do, and forget that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It really can be the simple things that can help us to make those changes. And some of the changes that you're trying to make are going to be happening at this caregiver conference. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at the caregiver conference, when it's happening, what's going on, what we're going to be doing and seeing?
Yes. So I decided in 2023 I was going to create a caregiver conference because I noticed, because of the pandemic, that caregivers were dying on a rapid rate, much faster than expected, while still the aging loved one was around. And that causes major problems in families, but it also causes major system issues. Like we don't necessarily have resources to pick up if somebody's left alone. And I thought, this is not good. What can I do? What can I help? So I created the caregiver conference just for aging loved ones. But this is an interesting thing. When we step out into LinkedIn, we sometimes get the feedback. And I got a lot of feedback from single parents. I got feedback from parents who have neurodiverse children. And I also got feedback for parents who have a child with a longer term illness, so like kidney disease or heart disease or something like that. And they asked me to, like year 1 and year 2, to please provide, resources for them. And I said, well, I'm not a parent. This isn't, I don't have a lot of experience. This would not be appropriate. And all of their responses were, but you know how to organize. And I was like, what? So this year it's going to be 2 days. It's going to be live. It's not going to be pre-recorded. And we're going to have day 1 for the aging loved ones, but day 2 is going to be for parents who are doing caregiving, who are asking for resources, who are begging for more than what they're getting out of their communities, out of their families, and out of, basically the internet. So I thought, okay, this I know, because I know who are the experts to bring them in. And so I'm very excited. I've got, I'm building the team now as I speak, but it's going to be something that's never been done before. And that's okay. I'm happy to jump in and throw my hat in the ring and say, hey, if people are asking, here you go.
Yeah. If it's never been done before, that means it's ripe and ready to happen, and then it will have been done and we can do it again. So
Yes.
So that's awesome. I love that you are providing that resource, because I know, even though I wasn't necessarily the caregiver of my mother who passed away a few years ago, to have been able to have, I know you were in that space with me when all of that kind of happened. But I don't know that I knew to reach out to you for that specific thing in that way, because the organization part of it after someone passes away is a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot to deal with, especially if you don't live in the same area, and how to make your mind work. I mean, it honestly took me 2.5 years to really bring myself out of it. And the grief isn't gone, but being able to finally get organized again. So I'm applauding you for making this something that's available to people that are giving care both in those end times and as they move on, because it needs to happen on both sides of it. I want to bring back Deanna, because we've been talking about a lot of great stuff, and this has been a really wonderful conversation between the three of us about honestly being human, because Jeannie, that's really what you're talking about. There's a lot to finding things on the internet, but we really do need that human connection and things that kind of are geared toward us and not just for some random person that may have written something whose information may or may not be relevant to what it is that we're doing. So when we're thinking about that, for the two of you, I want to pose this question to the both of you, because both of you help people find clarity in different ways. And if someone is feeling stuck, as I did for too long, whether it's building those connections that they're trying to build on wherever that's happening to be, or they're managing their finances, what is one specific step that they can take today to start moving forward? And Deanna, I'm going to let you go ahead and answer first.
Think about what you do and how you differentiate yourself from everyone else who does what you do. Because chances are, if I am searching job titles, for example, I can search account executive on LinkedIn and I get millions of people who are currently using account executive in some way, shape, or form in their profile. What makes this account executive different from this account executive? Probably a lot. So think about what you do and how that is different from everyone else, and then explode that on LinkedIn, because the goal is never to blend in. It is always to stand out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I know we were talking about AI earlier. If you're having trouble with figuring out what your piece is to help you stand out, AI can be a wonderful tool to help you distinguish that fact. I know it's helped me to figure out what, because we can hear people tell us that all the time. But as I said to someone recently, where I am now and understanding what it is that I do, it's taken years. It's taken years to figure out what that special piece, that special sauce is about me. But here's ChatGPT making it happen in 2.7 seconds. So
just don't copy and paste it. That's all I say.
Exactly.
Is put it in your language.
So Jeannie, the same question to you. What's that one specific step that someone can take today when it comes to rewiring their mindset and helping them to get through that struggle with their finances?
Yeah, so a lot of times people feel very helpless and powerless when it comes to their money. They carry a lot of shame and blame and then sometimes even outright embarrassment, and they're trying to, get ahead. So what I would say before you make a financial decision today, maybe sit down and find 5 things that you're actually happy and grateful for. And then go take a look at your numbers, because many times our numbers will work, but we keep telling ourselves, I should say, they're not working. And that is a mindset trap.
Look, I love the simplicity with which you all deliver the message. And that is another thing in itself, right? It is definitely an art to be able to deliver what it is that you're saying in a simple way and give us simple tools that you can move with right now. And if what you have been hearing about from Deanna or Jeannie, if you want to connect with them, they're on LinkedIn, both of them. You'll see all of their information in the end credits, so you can just pause and grab their info so that you can connect with them and get the goodness that they have to help you move forward. Ladies, thank you so much for being here for this final episode. Thank you to those of you that are inside of LinkedIn, inside of Zoom, to be here for this final episode. Thank you to those of you that are watching live on this final episode, and those of you that are watching in the replay. It's been so wonderful to be here with the both of you ladies today, with all of you, and thank you for bringing your goodness. Thank you for making this a special last episode. It's so good, so good. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey. And this is just the close of a chapter for the Business Breakout, not the close of the book. And today's guest really reminded us that success doesn't have to come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things with clarity and intention, whether it's building authentic connections or rethinking your approach to finances. The key to taking that first step forward is doing it with purpose. So for the last 3 years, this show has been more than just a live stream. It's been a space to explore, to learn, and to imagine what's possible for your business and virtual events. And while this is our final episode for now, the conversations will not be ending here. So just remember that at Beyond Virtual Events, we're always focused on helping you create experiences that don't just happen, they resonate. Whether it's a live stream, a workshop, or a virtual conference, every moment has the potential to leave a lasting impact. So thank you for being a part of this incredible 3-year journey with me as I shift my focus to creating deeper connections with those that are ready to take their virtual experiences to the next level. I'm hoping that you'll continue to show up in your own unique way. And remember that when you embrace your message, your voice, and your vision, everything that you do can go far beyond.